All right, welcome to Stampscapes Live. I have some remaining scenes here from 2022 to do a look back on. And I have some to even finish the construction on. Okay, so I call them mirror cards. Maybe reflection cards would be kind of a cooler name. But this is where I'm just matching a two pieces of whatever you want to use in the top portion of a construction with the equivalent dimension size piece of mirrored foil. It could be, I guess, any color, but probably the more reflective you can get in the silver or something like a gold is probably better in order to view the top scene. But it could be something like, I guess a light blue or any tone down in this lower section here, just as long as it's reflective enough to read what's going on in the top portion. I would assume that the darker you go down here, the more contrast you want to have reflecting in this lower portion here. Hello, Jolene. How are you tonight? All right, so let's see right here. So what you're going to do is whatever size of scene and reflected area you want, you just want to create that double the size in some sort of folded card, okay? Because those are going to be the interiors right there. I like to use a dark color, and I started using black. I was using white just so that I can have something to stamp on the front portion of the card and have it more visible. But the thing is, if you have a little bit of a gap in between your top portion and lower portion like that, if it was in white, you tend to be able to see it more than if there's like a sliver of black in there. So I prefer that, and I just started using that at some point in time. And then if you want to do something on the front of your card, some people call these inside out cards where, they have their greeting or something like that on the outside. You can have a full on other scene out here too. You can mount it on the top of this, and this can be just your format right here. And then do something on the back here, stamp by or whatever down below, and that would be a cool kind of formatting for that. Okay, so anyways, just taping this into my scene here. I don't have to do this on every one of my cards. I just found these ones that I just never finished off, so I thought I would finish them off right here. Real easy to do. You just drop this down here, just butt it up right up against that edge there. Try to match it up like so. Sometimes when you do this like this, the length or width doesn't exactly match, and you look at the back here and you see that little portion right here. Personally, I just take this area like this and I trim that area off, or I just do it together. You can take this and take a straight edge or something like this and cut these off so that they're flush with one another. You can also do it on the left and right side. Because it's like sticking out 1/8 of an inch because this piece right here is butted up against there, so it's probably taking up a little bit of that height right there. But anyways, these reflection cards like this is like the simplest type of thing you can do down here. These are just two stamps stamped down here. In this case, it stays on black. Hello, Linda. And up here, it's just one impression done in, I don't remember what I did that in. I don't know if I did it in a stays on black or if I did it in a brilliance black or whatnot. But I've blocked out, in this case, for this scene, done on the foils, okay? I kept this one really simple because, the foil itself is so much of the visual statement of this piece. We're not having to do like a sky up here or something like that, and then the reflections down here are already taken care of, things that are going on in the water. The thing that I really like about these holographic foils in this mirrored reflection scenario here is that you would think that it would be the same thing reflecting down here as down here. Now it's the same lighting, but you can see that here's this kind of flare going on down here that is not happening in that lower section. I'm guessing because it probably looks like this, but this being a mirror is reflecting that down here, and this in turn is reflecting that light back up here, so that we have this kind of interesting dynamic between I mean, both of these are light sources here, yeah, or a reflected light, I should say. But this is acting as a light source here, reflecting down in there. I'm guessing, and it's reflecting back, so they're kind of bouncing off of each other like that. But I think that is a really fun format like that. But talk about bang for your buck. Stuff that's going on up here is reflecting down here in a mirror situation where you're using a holographic foil up there. They're just going back and forth like that, and it's just super dynamic and ever changing. I mean, this is fluorescent lights down here, and this is with an incandescent light. So presumably if someone looks at it under like sunlight or something like that, it might, I don't know, what is it? Is it refraction, or I forget what it is, the term it is with light, but it can probably break it down into different types of looks and whatnot. But mirror cards, again, this area down here is kept fairly simple because I don't want to cover up those things that are reflecting down into it. So talk about kind of purposeful simplicity, I guess we can call it, for effectiveness. Usually in stamping, if you want to create more kind of impact and visual information going on, you use more things. You use more imagery, you use more media, things like that, quote stamps, everything, you know what I mean? But in a mirrored type of thing like this, where you have this area down here that's reflecting what's going on up top, I just keep it purposely simple, and I don't know, just kind of the more contrast you have in simplicity up here, the easier it reads in this mirrored area. Because this is just silver card, you know what I mean? This is like silver cardstock. It's not like an actual mirror, here I am in there, you know what I mean? It's not, reading exactly, 100% mirror-like. So, I don't know, there might be other types of foils out there that are more mirrored, but I haven't found them if there are. But you just keep it nice and simple. All right, so that being said, let's get in with this right here. Let's finish these ones off. This one was on the printable holographic vinyl, and it was using nature set number 11. Okay, that was for that post Stamp Wars class I was teaching. Teach people how to create these mirror cards. All right. Let's get in right here. I should say on these mirror cards too, when I'm dealing with those holographics, I like to do that splatter painted sky up there with the bleed proof white, because while you can't really see it as a, just a statement in itself like that card, under normal lighting, if you turn this like this and you get out of that, I have a lot of light going on in my studio right here, but at certain angles, you'll be able to see that lighting. When there isn't any lighting on there, then you'll have that contrast of the stars up there. So, that's, the holographic characteristic of that type of paper. That's the star of that type of, paper right there. But in the absence of, certain angles and light, you'll have something of visual interest up there rather than just having it look like a bare piece of paper. So, well, this is, I don't know. Is that day or night? I don't know. On the blue one, it's definitely looking like a nighttime type of scenario right there. But, in something like this, I don't know. I guess it's more whimsical than anything. Just simple fronds down here below. I would use the larger one, but I wanted to just use everything that was on the nature set for this, whatever assignment that we were working on in the live class here. But Yeah, just kept it really simple. I would put like some character down here, I think, to finish this piece off. Fisherman, someone on a boat or something like that, and that would really reinforce this idea of this being a body of water. I mean, the reflections already do that here, but something a little simple down here would be really nice. A quote stamp would be good too. All right. So that is that one right here. This one I really love right here. Talk about a simple scenario right here. This is just one of the islands stamped up here. Splatter painted across the top. I planted some trees in there. And then let's get this matched up right here. This is one of those mirror cards, I think, where this is one of the few kind of times, if not maybe the only time, I'm not quite sure. I think this is the only time when I've stamped, I think, more things in this lower reflection area than in this top area down here. Usually it's just foreground or something down here, but again, this paper, holographic cardstock here is just so dynamic. I just wanted to keep most of the action for this type of composition down in this lower section right here. So here you have these islands kind of going out into the horizon right there. And look at this right here. This is holographic directly touching that mirrored section right there. And isn't it strange that that is not just reflecting directly down here like that? It's a different character for both the horizon and up than from the reflected area and down. And I think, again, it's because I think this is reflecting up here. So this is that little branch or something like that reflecting up. I guess it is because this is at like a 45-degree angle right here. And the viewing angle for this is at like 45 degrees right here. So here's the thing that's really fun about this too, is like when someone opens this up too, it's a card that's in motion like that. And just, it looks different depending on the angle it's being viewed at and the lighting that it's being viewed at. I really love that look right there. Let's take a look at it with the incandescent on there and see what that does. Yeah, look at that whole different spectrum of a warm light being broken down. It's like a prism or something like that. These ones are so dynamic. After I do a couple of these, or if I do one, you just want to keep doing other stamps and different scenarios like that. But I really love this blue one here, that blue color in there. But yeah, look at that. Look at that changing down there in that lighting. Okay, but anyways, here's that splatter painting up there again. And I find that without that, I don't know, stabilizing force up there in the form of those stars, I find that it doesn't work quite as well for me, because everything's just in motion. It gets a little dizzying or something like that. So it's like people that are subject to like motion sickness, and they're going out on a boat or something like that. One of the things that they're supposed to do, or, presumably helps a little bit, is to keep their eye on something on shore, something stable that's not moving around if they're within eyesight of land, and to just watch that as they're moving up and down, if it's not, if there's any kind of current or anything like that. But that's what those stars do for me. And there's already the stabilizing area down here with, the stamp imagery and whatnot. But yeah, someone told me one of the comments on Facebook was that someone was working on foils. I don't know if it was necessarily scenic stamping, but they were working on some kind of holographic foil, but they stopped because it made them dizzy. And I can see that if someone's really prone to like motion sickness, like really sensitive, and let's say you're working on something for, making a card for a half an hour or something like that, it can make them dizzy maybe. But for me, this is dizzyingly visually delicious. Not to mix senses or something like that, but I really love that right there. You know what I mean? I mean, that is just so dynamic. People haven't seen, these reflection cards. I think I'm going to change the name to reflection cards from mirror cards. But, some people said, well, how, I mean, so if you send this to someone, one of the comments was, I mean, if you're supposed to look at it at this angle right here, how are they going to know that? And I've sent this away to people, like I've mentioned before, like my family members. They don't stamp, but they know what to do, with it. It's not like they were going like, "What the heck is this?" Or viewing it this way, open up a card or something like that. They got it just fine. And that wasn't even holographic either. So. But I got a comment back, and sometimes you send out cards to people, and you know what I mean. I mean, a lot of people say, hey, thanks. They appreciate the handmade card, but to non-card makers, I got a comment back, and where they pointed it out. So you know what I mean. It's something different. It's a card in motion and whatnot. So. Yeah, I think people like that type of thing. I think it's visually dazzling. Hello, Maureen. Good to see you. Hello, Jen. All right, now I showed this one a couple days ago right here. I think this one was done in 2021, but this is a composition that I did in the past, just, something like that. I mean, I did a composition similar to that, I should say. But I thought that would look kind of cool in this mirror card formatting like this. And you can see where I've added this little foreground type of imagery right here to kind of frame things off. But the foreground imagery right here on the left and right side also gets rid of this. See where this is going down and it's reflected down here. You get this shard right here of, a non-reflected area. Okay. So if you put something dark right here and here, you don't have to go all the way up, it's like, that doesn't bother me. Like, oh, wait a minute, I got this half inch here that's, not, matching up, not filling up this bottom scenario down here, because you have this bottom scenario going back in perspective too, okay? So it's, it looks like it's flaring out this way, even though it's a very short distance, relatively speaking, from here to here. But this does go back in perspective. You can see this is wider than this back area right down here. Okay, so that's why you just put stuff in the foreground, left and right corner, leave this. Now, this is where sometimes I've gone wrong right here. I've put too much stuff right in here where I have to kind of see where this is reflecting down here. But all you'd have to do is just put this up here. You put the scene up there and see where it's reflecting, and then just stamp this out accordingly. Don't do this bottom part first. I would do the scene first and then do your little foreground imagery down here. And I haven't always done that. Sometimes I do it like I haven't worked on a mirror card, and I just do too much down here, and it's just, I have to recall, don't do as much down here. So anyways, these are just little areas, the little tiny rocks stamped in both black and white down here, because silver, I mean, it could be silver reflecting white is just white down here, okay? But sometimes just silver on its own like that, it's like reflecting my ceiling right now. So sometimes you go with both black and white down here, or if you're doing a really dark scenario up here, let's say you're using, I don't know, Star Dream Lapis Lazuli or something like that, where it's all dark blue up here. And if you do a dark foreground down here, maybe it doesn't show because this whole area in the background is dark, and maybe there's a full moon or something like that. So maybe you stamp these objects down here in white or something like that. I was using all Brilliance inks at one time, and this I'm sure is Brilliance ink down here, but I've come to start using Stays On if it's black down here, and I need to get a re-inker for my Stays On white because I think that's going to be the better bet. Stamping black and white imagery down here because I don't have to spray seal it, okay? So anyways, but I really love quote stamps in white down here because look at that. To me, that looks like it's floating in space, dimensionally or something like that. You know, because you can't see the surface down there because you have this area reflecting down here. I mean, here it looks like it's, you know, two-dimensional. It's just right on the silver paper. But when you do it like that, then you have a really dimensional card. It looks three-dimensional. It looks like special effects or something like that. But again, I mean, this is like a really simple stamped area down here, and then you just pair it up with a card up here. As long as, now see, if this was all snow down here, then you don't stamp the white right in here because, you know, it's not going to be visible. So have something of contrast reflecting down here if you're going to stamp those images in white. So if I was doing a quote stamp, and if I was doing it up here, you'd want to, or down here, you'd want to do it in black, you know, just so you can see it. All right. Let's see. None of these are in like any kind of order. I just grabbed them. Here's that that foil again, but it's in the gold color. Crazy, isn't it? Okay, this silver paper, this one's the gold foil down here for this goldish color up top. And it's, you know, it's pretty reflective. Now on this one right here, I stamped out my palms with huts, small, and then I stamped it again on a piece of white cardstock, just testing it out because it kind of got lost in the background of all this. Look at that, looks like a comet right there. It kind of got lost in there, so I stamped this out, and then I colored that portion in and put it down here, just so that it would reflect more. I don't know if it really works. I guess it looks a little bit more three-dimensional, just that looks three-dimensional up there a little bit more. But again, in format, or in this mirror card format, I think it looks pretty decent because it stands out pretty decently on that bottom area. But see that stabilizing star kind of constellation up there? That it's supposed to be like the Milky Way up there. Up there. I guess you can see it a little bit down here as well. But look at those colors. I don't know if I, okay, now that's, oh, that's the incandescent on there. I don't know if I was seeing that purple green up there without, let's see here. No, I guess you do see some of that purple and green up there on that one. Kind of interesting. I don't know. I still need to get the feel for some of these cardstocks used with I don't know, different types of lighting. Okay, so quotes on the outside like that, and like this. This is one. Okay, so this is like this, supposed to be this ledge, or this waterside area on the other side of the lake, okay? And there, here it is in the foreground like this. All right, let me see what that looks like, opening up like that. Okay, now see this one right here. I mean, it's okay, but this one didn't work for me as much. I put too much stuff in here, and there's not enough contrast between this whole area. And then when you start getting up here, that's reflecting down here, okay? So this is too far. So there's, I don't really get, unless like that, and you're, you know, tilting it up like that. This is, you know, this is the way that people would be looking at this card for the most part. So I don't see like this contrast right here showing down here. So this, I think this one's less effective like this, okay? And then also this, I don't know, this area right here is going down into here. And there's not much, you know, this one would look better if I put like a deer or something like this right on the top of that. Then I would have this strong figure standing there, reflecting down there. Maybe I'll do that on this one. But this is where I think I hadn't done one in a while. And I did this composition up here, thinking mostly of that as just a general card, you know, scene or something like that. And I mean, I knew I was going to make a mirror card out of it, but I just put too much. So yeah, maybe I need to create some contrast down here with a little figure. I think that would do it. Or maybe what I need to do is if I stamp like a little fisherman down here in the water, right? Maybe that'd be even better. Like they're waiting, like the waiting fisherman or something like that. Because we need something like in this area right here. that would take advantage of the that mirroring a little bit more, or just the format. If I stamped it up here, it would be mirrored like a deer or something like that, or someone standing out in the water, or it could be deer in the water, or something like that sort. Anyway, so okay, so this is one of the things too. On this one right here, this is a warm composition right here, and I put the silver down here. It might have been better to use the gold cardstock down here in a gold light source setting. It still looks okay though, I think. But yeah, maybe more effective gold. Gold on gold, or warm on gold, and blues or neutrals or something like that. Maybe on silver. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, this is I think where I was using gold. Yeah, okay, this is where this is like a silvery one right here. This is just your recollections from Michael's, real mellow type of holographic right up there. And this is the gold. I think this is where I started experimenting with the gold down here, but something like that, I don't know. What's more effective? I don't know. You could be going for a little bit of a temperature change too, where this is, fairly neutral to, I don't think it, I don't see, there are warm tones in it a little bit, but I see it as more of like a cool tone spectrum. But I do notice this too. When you're going like this gold here is reflecting up in here, bringing warmth into that area. So, yeah, and this one right here. Okay, so see, I stamped out this top portion of the Lakeside Cove up here, and the bottom of it is stamped onto the gold like that. All right. You could do that, or, sometimes you can just stamp out that top portion right there, and that's going to reflect down here anyway, but you get this little bit of an extra bit of dimension right there. See that where those reflections are right there, but then it's actually reflecting like that. So it creates a little bit of extra depth by having that bottom portion stamped down there like that. I'm not sure which one I like more. I guess this gives it a little bit more depth, being that we're, this whole thing is about, this three-dimensional look or something of that sort. And here you see that little fisherman like I was talking about before. Oh, and quote stamps, when they're stamped up here, I tend to avoid stamping those lower in the horizon where you'd have this upside down and backward text within the composition. I think that's a little bit awkward. I don't know, that's coming from my, my graphic design class background and stuff like that. That's, usually don't fool around with copy, as they say in text and things like that. You want those things to be legible unless you're doing some sort of like abstract thing where you're dealing with words or, you know what I mean? Something conceptual like that. But, for our intents, I keep it pretty simple. But I do see some of it reflected down here, but I don't find that terribly. That's if I angle it up like that, but this is like probably the natural viewing angle. And then see that's reflecting down here, but it's broken up. It doesn't really read as text too much when it gets down there. I guess a little bit. I guess that's mirroring pretty good. But anyways, here's what that little figure in the water would look like. But again, I think this is really fun. When someone opens it up like this, especially if they haven't seen that before, it looks like a time-lapse sunrise or something like that to me. And that's one direction. Then you go like this, and that's different. In this case, no stars up there. I thought it looked more like a sunrise or something like that to me. All right. This is, okay, so this is, the Star Dream, Aquamarine, I think it is. I need to look that up. I was talking about this paper, when was it? Yesterday, I think. And so this is the type of scenario I really like doing, just doing these little swooshes of ink into the scene. This is just black, I think it's black dye-based ink. I don't know. I've been experimenting with other types of ink on this Star Dream paper before lately, and inks don't stick with it on it super easily because it has that iridescent. I don't know, whatever makes it Star Dream types of paper shimmer. Okay, but I use that to my advantage to blend and streak inks in the background, giving it that type of look. But I thought, hey, let's take a look and see what that looks like in a mirror card formatting like this. All right. So for me on this one, because the startering paper, for me, I can't get really super dark impressions on there either. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what I stamped those ones, and I'd have to go back and watch the video. But that's about as dark as it seems to get. I might have changed up and gone with like a stays on in here to bring extra depth, because when I stamped it up here, there wasn't enough contrast between those trees. Well, this is what what it looks like that. Okay, actually, it doesn't look too bad. But see that down here, you know what I mean? It's fairly light like that. Okay, so I thought I wanted to go with more contrast, so I went with extra layers of darker trees in there. Hello, Linda D. And same trees in the foreground right down here, and a little character right here, a little focal point. But again, here's the little quote stamp up here. If one way be better than another, that you may be sure is nature's way, Aristotle. But, you know, just a different format right here. So that is a really simple composition up there. Definitely simple down here. It's just trees stamped in black, you know, and the quote stamped in white, and, you know, a little focal point there in the solo canoeist, but, or not the solo canoeist, but, what's the name of that one? Fly line, I think. But brought together, I think it's so much more dynamic, and all you're doing is just marrying the two together like that. But it really becomes something, I think, I don't know, not necessarily exponentially more interesting, but I think it's more than double interesting, you know what I mean, than just that alone, and that plus that. One plus one, I think in this case doesn't equal two. In this case, like equals like four. In terms of the visual interest, you know, scenario or whatnot here. But I don't know. I've done this scene right here many times in the past, and I just wanted to see what it would look like that. I think it makes for a really cool kind of wintry type of look to see it there. It's Saturday in Southern Australia. Oh, here's a smaller one right here. I showed that other one. Here's a little, you know, 4¼ by 5½. Okay, now one of the things I was mentioning, see, I need to trim this right here after I usually have, you know, this pre-cut right here, so put it in here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to trim off that little 1/16 of an inch or whatever it is sticking out there like that, okay? And that'll make it much cleaner and flush, but oh, on this one right here, that barn is just stamped out on a piece of white cardstock, colored in, or I might have stamped it out on red cardstock. Yeah, I think I stamped it out on red cardstock. But this is the blue Recollections foil, white impression of the pine row in the background, and this white right here is just a piece of paper that I cut out like that. And then these two tree trunks right here are also on a piece of white cardstock. And you can see where they're pasted in right there. I don't know if you can see it, where they're cut out down there. But this is like a cutout right here. Cutout kind of construct. Oh, and here's what I was talking about. See, stamping these right down here in black wouldn't have shown up because it's, you know, dark trees against a very dark background right here. So, and it's a winter type scenario here, so I just stamped out my imagery down here for the most part. There are a couple little impressions of the tiny rock small in black, but for the most part, my foreground imagery and quote down here are just in white brilliance, unless it's the white pigment stays on ink. But see that right there? I think that's pretty cool up there. And I mean, you could stamp out this in, you know, a light blue or something like that, and I think it would look pretty cool just as card. But I just think that this is really, really dynamic and special like that. We need a little snowman or something like that. I need to do some snowman imagery after watching that movie animated piece, The Snowman. Little North Star up here with the extra fine acrylic white paint pen and a little bit of white pigment ink over the top of it to make it glow like that. But this piece right here, without that star, it's really missing something, isn't it? You know, you put that in there. So either like a quote stamp up top. I wouldn't do a quote, you know, a word stamp up here and a quote down here. Do it one or the other, but I don't know, it needed something up here. It needed some kind of additional focal point because this is just so symmetrical. It's like tree, tree, and this is like, you know, fairly symmetrical. I mean, this is a 3/4 view of that, but still, you know, you have this little kind of pyramidal type of thing right here. So we needed something to, you know, a little bit off center. I think it would look fine over here too. But I don't know, you see that little star kind of reflecting down here like that too. It'd be kind of cool to do something on this type of blue foil, not necessarily in a mirror card or reflection card like this, but if you put those glow-in-the-dark little stickers up here or use glow-in-the-dark stars like that on a dark background, I think the glow-in-the-dark inks would get swallowed up and absorbed into like a matte paper, but on this foil I think it would stay completely surface-oriented and maybe last a little bit longer when you charge it up with light. Anyways, have any of you done, you know, mirror cards or tried it? You know, if you haven't, 2023, God, that doesn't sound right, 2023 project for you guys. Look at this one right here. Star Dream, Lapis Lazuli, see that kind of shimmery surface like that. White Brilliance ink at the background. Imagery just stamped out in black right over the top of it, splatter painted white. And then these boulders, I put these boulders down here and I blocked them off with that same white Brilliance ink down here because, you know, if I just stamp those black rocks down here without that white blocking out, you wouldn't be able to see those rocks down here, right? So I put a bunch of white pigment ink all down here. It was splattered all over. Not splattered, but dabbed down here. And because Brilliance ink dries on this surface, but it doesn't adhere even when dry. So these areas right down here were spray sealed. After, I just took a paper towel and after I stamped my rocks, I just took it and I took a paper towel, I think, or a cotton ball or something like that, and I cleaned off the white ink going out here because I didn't know exactly where those rocks were going to go. So you just go and clean that all up like that. And then I stamped the rest of my black imagery in here. I guess it was just those rock textures like that. Spray sealed. Oh, and the quotes and the white Brilliance too. But look at that, how that quote stamp really floats on that surface right there. And here's where I was kind of learning more about what looks good in these reflection cards is, see this hard contrast right here? And this against that, okay? That reads down here. See, if it wasn't that dark, if I didn't have that harsh dark contrast, you can see down here, this isn't super dark like it is up here. So you have to kind of create, you know, if ideally you push contrast a little bit more up in this area to be red in this reflection like that. This is one of my favorite ones right here. I kind of forgot about it. I forgot about kind of doing some, I don't know, like a cluster thing like that. I think this is one of the first ones where I did a half page like that. Oh, and this one right here, I think when I was doing it live. Okay, so this is on a piece of the dark blue glossy cardstock that I have, but it's white on this side. So see, like right in here, this was all white right in here, that line like that. So what I did was if you're doing it on a piece of white paper and that shows in there, just take a black pen and just color that area down there, just with a dark pen. And that area won't show down there, that seam like that. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, so lightning. I just did a lightning scene recently, but if you do a lightning scene like that, one of the things that's really fun with sky figures is that if you're doing a water scenario, you know, you stamp, a scene out like that, okay, and then however long that takes to do. And because, a sky figure type of scenario, if it's kind of reasonably dramatic, if you're doing it over water like that, it's a perfect excuse to put that sky down in your lower terrain or something like that. Let's see if I did stamp out. Yeah, I stamped out those rocks down there again. On the bottom of the lakeside cove like that. So you get that lightning kind of showing in that bottom area. It'd be kind of interesting to do that lightning on the holographic, right? Okay, this is what I just did too recently on that video for 2022. See these clouds right here stamped in probably the number 10 light blue like this, okay? And they were stamped all over out here, but where this area gets darker out here and toned in, you're not going to be able to see that light blue. So you just take that cloud stamp again in the darker area and then just stamp it again in whatever darker blue or black in this case, so that it looks more dimensional and it'll read in that darker area over there, okay? So again, you can see where I've used these little rocks down here. I like to kind of create this opposite side of the body of water, whatever it is. And in the shallows, you can typically see, stuff underneath the water. So I'd like to put that little extra texture in there just to read against that reflected area like that without being too obtrusive. So just things like rocks in the water or something like that work really well. And here we are flanking the left and right bottom corners with your page. I'm thinking these might read better if I have some white paper underneath here. I just noticed these are like really dark here. If that didn't mess up my exposure here, but yeah, you can see what's going on here a little bit more. This paper right here looks really old. It looks like it's yellowing of mine. All right, so there's that lightning. So fun with skies, definitely. Okay, this is I'm sure this is one of my first ones that I've ever, I don't know if this is the first one that I ever did, but it's one of those first ones. But yeah, just some of the white brilliance ink, paper towel ripped type of technique. Look at this right here. See that foil right there? Where I put that on there. I was mounting it or something like that, and I was fiddling around with it, when I was kind of figuring out how to do these. And I got that crease right down in there. I think I kept this because this is like, I don't know if this is like the first, I don't think it was the first one that I did, but it was probably right in there. Maybe the second time I did that on the mirrored cardstock. So I thought, maybe we'll keep this one right here. Learning how to do it. Okay, so here we go with this right here. Look at those colors down there in that lower section. But I didn't have to do it twice because it's just reflected down there. Look at those autumn leaves right there, done in the white ink. Reflected, or not reflected, but showcased against that shadow area of that little rock. But talk about just an easy scene right here. It's just two stamps, that Aspen, Quaking Aspen stamped twice, okay, but this is where it's really fun too, okay. So I used the paint pens on that one, and one of the things that's really fun about that is you can put those little fallen leaves down here, but if this is supposed to be a body of water down here, in a fall type of scenario, right? So this is, these objects are stamped down here. Those are the, oh, I use the maples down there, but see all those little yellow dots? Okay, that's what the, using the smaller pens, the 0.7s millimeter. Down here, you can see what's going on right here. See how I cluster those together a little bit too? It's not just all 1/4 inch spacing or something like that, you know, because there's like little currents and water and whatnot. But that's what I mentioned about kind of grouping your little highlights and flowers and stuff like that. But this is what these little dots look like, you know. See how they kind of float and are dimensional against the reflection of that same type of tree or the sky or whatever down there like that. I haven't looked at these in a little while, so yeah. Oh, and that was, you know, I was talking about putting like a fisherman in that that other worm scenario like that. So this is just, you know, this is glossy cardstock up here against the silver. I think this would have worked down here in the gold too. Maybe it works better in the silver though, huh? Because this is such a white light. Oh, yeah. I think so, because see, if this was gold down here, that gold against the gold, you know, it's not going to read as well. There's not going to be as much contrast. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure this out, you know. All right. Oh, this is using the templates right here. Just I was kind of curious to know these templates, but this is my first template try down here. I just wanted to see what this would look like. These geometric shapes in a mirror card type of situation right here. But after I did this, I thought, oh, kind of, I'm missing the big kind of opportunity with this one right here. So that's a template from what's the name of those templates? I forgot. Sweet Poppy stencils. Not templates, but stencils. Sweet Poppy stencils. Okay, so after I did that one, I thought, oh, because this is mirrored right here. Look at this one right here. So I used that same stencil, and we did this right here. So I did it halfway like that, right? And then I did it down here. So this is mirror on mirror, right? It's one of the few times I've done that. But then when you go like that, right? This is going down there, and this is going in the background. So see that right back there? So it's like a real kind of, I don't know, kind of outer space. Somebody needs to do this format like this, but have some kind of thing like that, but have like a planet in there. So it looks like this orbit, you know, going like, can you see it going in the background like that and down below like that? See like that? I don't know. I think there's potential here, you know what I mean, for doing cool little things like this. You know what I mean? I guess it doesn't have to be a circle like that. It could be a triangle or something like that, but then you put something down here. I don't know. Put an eyeball in there or something like that. That'd be really cool. Maybe not with the Sweet Poppy, whatever, poinsettia, template, but I don't know, do something like that. But mirror on mirror. So, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But look at that reflected light, though, too. It's kind of cool. But just the lakeside cabin like that. Yeah. It sure looks dimensional, though, doesn't it? And this is just white ink on here. And I put these trees down below just to kind of anchor it in a little bit. Glad you like it, Vintage Scrap Girl. That's a cool YouTube name, by the way. Oh, here's my lightning. Okay, so I did that lightning, But here it is, right here. I don't even remember what I did, okay? I didn't look through these. I haven't looked, a lot of these things I haven't looked at them since I made them. You know, you just kind of make them and just go on. Oh, where's that? Oh, it's buried by now. Okay, so I did another lightning scenario at the end of when was it? Was it New Year's Eve? I don't remember. I think it was last scene of final scene of 2022. Okay, but here they are. This is okay. So that's on the red foil. Okay, so Linda. You got that red foil, right? I think that you were saying that you did. So this is red foil up top. Okay, so it's the same company that sells these gold and silver foils. Okay, the red they were blowing out, and I never would have bought red foil. Okay, because I don't see myself using red foil very much, and it comes in a pack of 60 sheets. But it was like they were blowing it out, and it was like, I don't know what it was, $13 or something like that. And I figured, okay, I can use it for something, and I can use it for matting or something like that. But I thought this looked pretty good. I thought red, especially against this gold foil down here, that warm tone like that, I thought looked pretty cool. But yeah, pretty. I think there's a lot of drama to this one right here. And again, you have to create your kind of contrasts up here. So, you know, the contrast was created with, you know, the white paint pen. You know, because when I stamped out this lightning on here, the bolts are red. You know, because it's red cardstock. So you have to redefine those bolts if you want to pull them out of the background with white like that. Yeah, I agree, Jen. That'd be a good Halloween card, or at least anything in this combination color scenario, right? You can do. Can you imagine this red up here, and then if you have some kind of silhouette tombstones or something like that down here, or if you have like a cricket on that cricket, that what is that called? Cricket Design Studio or whatever. You know, there's a gazillion uh, what are you know things that you can cut out on the cricket. So you can do these like all these tombstones down here. Maybe do a little bit of a ridge because they wouldn't be like right on the water or something like that, but a little black ridge right here, and do all these tombstones like that, and maybe have like a little ghost flying up there, and that would be kind of cool. And then you can put like I'm talking about pasting stuff, not stamping it up. You can paste like some tombstones down here, like in the foreground or something like that. You know, that would be pretty cool, I think. And then you know, instead of all things in nature, there is something of the marvelous by Aristotle. You can, you know, it would say like boo. All right, so here's another. Okay, so we've used all kinds of things on that top, portion up there. So here, this is like this. Okay, so photo stamping, right? 4x6 photo print, okay, of clouds. If you haven't seen photo stamping before, it's just, this is a photo print, okay, of clouds. I didn't create that somehow. Okay, I took the photo of it, but you can stamp over photo paper, okay, and I stamped over it with dye-based inks. Okay, so these are dye-based inks up here, but then colored in a lot, okay, with, I stamped it out in green, and then this is going into the tree and pulling out extra kind of dimension with it. And I did use white in there, but, when you put this acrylic white over the top of it, it tends to dry a little bit more see-through, so some of those lighter greens in there are probably the white. Okay, but anyways, those same trees stamped down here in black. I'm trying to think if I had like a dark green or something, stays on ink. I guess you can do that down here. But the thing about that is that when you go like this, if these were stamped in green, it would just merge in with these other trees being reflected down here. So I think you got to go dark on it down here. But again, here's those little clusters of little, in this case, the smaller dot. Okay, don't use the I don't know. I guess you could use the 3mm if you want to, but these ones are just smaller dots down here. You know, there's little foliage floating around. And see, I like this how this looks. Kind of, it's out of focus, but this is like in focus. You know, too. This is how people would see it. You know, you can see those little floating little leaves down there on that water's surface like that. So I mean, this is like a really simple scenario right here. It's just what I don't know. I don't know how many impressions I made. One. This might be that same one down here. Like 4 impressions. One stamp down there, basically, and then just dots. Okay, and this up here is just stamped on the photo. So that's an easy type of process right here when you're doing that photo stamping right here. This is green impressions right here. So it's like 1, 2, 3 stamps right here. Okay. You know, a decent amount of, dot work up there, but when you mirror, you match that with this bottom section down here, I think this is just like really dynamic, relatively speaking in terms of the amount of effort required to achieve it. Bang for your buck, as I put in the description of this video here. There's a lot of bang for your buck, when just doing this simple little thing like that and just pairing it up like that. It makes for a really special card. You got to do it fast before everyone starts doing it. I noticed I'm seeing a couple other mirror cards out there being posted by people, which I'm hoping for, How did I create the lightning stamp vintage scrap girl? One of them, I think this one is the large version, right? No, I stamped, this is the large, and then these are small, but those are stamp designs right there. And then when you stamp them out, you just draw in, redefine the, it's right behind me, as a matter of fact, because this is the last thing I stamped, but here's the stamps right there, right? So that was like that. And I put the smaller one flanking the larger one in that scene that I just did down there. But people wonder how you create, lightning. If you stamp this on a white piece of paper like that, and you lift it off, that lightning is going to be white if you stamp it on a white piece of paper. But on that one, I was saying, I stamped this on red foil, so when you lift it, it's not going to be white down there. So you just draw in, redefine those bolts. You can see it on the impression, then you just stamp it out like that. Bang for your buck. You can get two lightning. You can double your lightning impressions though in the mirror card scenarios. But I really love these deciduous tree types of things, because it gives me that extra excuse for. I don't know. I guess I'm looking for excuses to put dots in scenes all the time, be it reflections, stars. I don't know what else. Base of waterfalls, churning water, stuff like that. I guess I like dots. I don't know. I guess I do. I'm kind of joking about it, but then that's how all these designs are made, with a dot. I don't know. Okay, so here, I think we did this. I think this one was definitely in 2022, right? Was that when we were doing those purple foliage scenes, Linda? I think so, huh? We did them in the past too, but I don't know. A lot of us on Facebook, we started, doing more purpley, pinkish types of foliage scenarios, which changed the spirit of it. So okay, so this is, this is an aspen tree, but you just do it in purple and pink or whatever, right here, right? I don't know. It's like a different look altogether. It's the same stamps, except for the deer. On this one right here, I just used those little birds in the background like that. But okay, so on this one right here too, this one's a little bit different. This is not stamped on a white piece of paper. It's that pearl printable paper. Okay, so you get that extra little shimmer. So you get this shimmery kind of surface like that, and it really does look pearl-like when I saw that. but you get this extra little bit of reflection coming. You see this down here. This is like white right down here because I put that white Brilliance ink down here before I stamped out my bolt. Actually, I don't know if I did. I'm going to put that white over the top of that. But see, that looks a little bit different than that. One thing looks more reflective than the other. I think I just put some white Brilliance ink over the top of that right there. But again, you know, this isn't in yellows and oranges and something light like that, but still kind of going with this darker impression there in the foreground to create that extra depth right here. But look at this pearl right here. The one thing I like about that pearl paper, that looks like a little bit of horizon light up there. It's different from here to there. And again, I think it's because the silver is reflecting that in there. So you get a little bit of a different, you know, type of look like that. See that right there? It's like light is coming from behind that little boulder, you know, that boulder ridge right there with this pearl paper. I'm still learning how to use the pearl though. There's certain types of inks that just didn't seem to adhere to it very well or as much as I would have liked to. Even though it's a printable paper, I would have thought it would have taken inks similar to the printable vinyls, okay? But I don't know, still learning about that. I think it's a really cool paper though, just in terms of that that different tone like that. Yellowstone's on fire. Don't say that, Laura. There was too many fires of late. But that does, huh? Yeah, the gold. Yeah, that's that red and gold looks pretty good together, I think. Design Space, thank you. You have the crickets. Do you have one for that? One cricket designated for what is that thing that everyone's doing? That but you have to use the different inks in it. Do you ever do heat embossing on your pictures? I do, but I don't do it on. I try to avoid it on the foils though. I thought, okay, here's the thing. You know, speaking of that, I thought this area down here, because it's supposed to be representative of things really close to us, I thought that would look good embossed down here on foils. Okay, but when you're bringing that degree of heat onto this metallic surface like that, it buckled too much. And especially on the gold, it started rainbowing on me, which I think looks pretty cool if you can use it to your strategic advantage, you know, like getting a rainbow in the background or something like that. But I like embossing for foreground elements, like if I have something going on in the background, and then I stamp out, you know, some foreground imagery. I really like that embossed because it's actually raised and it's supposed to represent things that are closer to us. So, yeah, something like that. I haven't done a lot of embossing though, but I started doing it. Was it this last year? I can't remember, but I've had the embossing stuff, but I don't use it too much. Okay, now this is an instance where this wasn't working for me. The scene. Now all of these are on videos. These are all in the metallic playlist right here. But this was on. I think this is on the Pearl again too. But I really darkened it in like this because it wasn't reading down here. So I went crazy with the white ink right here. This is just one of those, where is it? Oh, here. Okay, so this is just one of those hole punch types of moons right there, you know? So I just did a hole punch like this, right? And added this moon in here like that, you know, and added like a slathering of white pigment ink over the top of that because I needed that degree of contrast down here because it just wasn't reading enough. But that seemed to solve the problem for me here. But look at this right here. I guess that is a little more reflective. When I go like this, see, here's white, white piece of paper like this, and this is like filled in with a lot of black ink, okay, and texture. But when I go like that, I don't know if you can see that. It's really reflective like that. It reflects more light out like that, even though it's been covered up with black ink. That's where that pearl kind of shimmery surface really comes into play. And like I said, I need to experiment a lot more with it. I think I used it like 3 or 4 times. And it was like, I don't know, that paper right there, I played around with a lot of different papers, and I didn't think that would be too extreme. I've used much more extreme papers in those holographics or something like that. But the pearl, I don't know, the pearl was tricky, trying to figure out the sweet spot with it. But I don't know, looking back at these cards right here, it occurs to me I probably need to use it more. But see that right there? That shimmer. But so anyways, so see if it's reflecting a decent amount of light, maybe it's, doing pretty good down here in terms of reading in this darkened scenario right here. Okay, but anyways, the aspen trees stamped down there in black, okay. And I probably added that purple to it after seeing what was going on in the scene and how it was reading, so it's probably a combination of something like these ones right here, used in here, okay. But one of the things that I thought was pretty cool, that I liked the most out of this experiment right here with this scene, were these trees down here in the foreground with those highlights and coloring on the trees. So in this scenario right here, so this moonlight is like casting the light right here. So on the inside, like to the right side of this tree is being illuminated right here because it's to the left of the moon, right? It's kind of underneath it too, I know, but see these ones right here, the moonlight is more, the reflections are on the top of the tree. And then this one right here, you can see where most of those dots are applied on the left side of the tree because it's far right of the scene. So it's, it's reiterating that lighting direction on those trees. It's subtle like this. You don't see it too much like this, but if you go like this a little bit, okay, that's a little bit out of focus, but let me see if you can see it like this a little bit more. But see those black trees like that in the foreground? They're being illuminated a little bit more with that ink, the paint, the acrylic paint pens. And again, just a little bit of a, these ones in this case don't stand out very much, but you can see where I've added in my little fallen purple leaves, deciduous leaves, or leaves out there, or blossoms or something like that out there. In this case too, I did this area in the background right here using the read small. I added this in here too to create more of a water's edge, and then I used those little tiny rocks small in that background. That really created that nice water's edge up there. And I had to fiddle around with this one quite a bit to get it to work because again, I wasn't thinking about creating so much contrast up here, and there was so little contrast. We have black trees against gray sky, and then this watermill was in here, kind of dark too. So I had to really kind of work it, and little things like those paint pens really kind of saved it for me. I don't say it made it look great or anything like that, but it saved it in terms of, you know what I mean, having something reasonably, presentable and not horrific. Okay, so this one is another piece using a photograph, okay, but it's in back of the vinyl right here. So let's see, here's something similar. I changed my mind. I don't have. I thought I had a similar looking scene just in my box that I went over here, but okay, that's buried. I don't want to go digging through that. Okay, but this is vellum right here. Okay, like a vellum scene. I think it looks pretty cool just as is. Vellum. Some images are stamped on the front of the vellum, and like these birch trees, on the back of the vellum. I blocked them out by painting them out with some bleed-proof white, just with a paintbrush. And then this, okay, and then some of these leaves right here were stamped on the back of the vellum and over the top of this. But remember, that's on the back side of it. And then that was all spray mounted onto a photograph of some clouds. Okay, so you get that background in there. But again, in this kind of mirrored scenario right here, I think this, like I said, I think I like doing these cards as is, but just this extra mirroring. And the mirroring, I mean, it's, it doesn't take any more effort to do this. All I did was, this is the Reed's Large stamped in black down here, right? And this is just a piece of the same dimension, I think 4x6 photograph up there, because I formatted it around the size of the card like that. But look how, dynamic that is like that, just by adding that lower section down there. So, I don't know. I think, you do this scene up here, and then you just, with such little effort like this, I think this went from, a B plus to, I think you took it into that A minus, A region for that extra credit work. Like that. I didn't put little dots down here. I guess my little floral dots are up in the meadow like that instead. But yeah. So think about it, when you're doing that, to boost your grade up, you'll get some extra credit for like doing nothing on a card like that. It has to be, look reasonable in terms of, it makes sense. And if this is supposed to represent water down here, or it could represent ice too, or something like that. If you're doing I know ice isn't like a mirror, but you know what I mean? If this is like all snow up here or something, like, not with the leaves and everything, but, and you had, some ice skaters down here that you stamp on there, what I mean? People would read it as ice. People wouldn't say, hey, that looks wrong. You know what I mean? Or something like that to you. And if they do, then you never send them your handmade card again. So anyways, and I like doing this type of thing here, but, the vellum, what I mean? It requires a couple extra steps. I think they're real easy to do for sure. And I do these birch trees on the vellum because it makes my life easier than stamping it on a white piece of paper and masking them off and doing these types of things in the back of the white birch trees, right? But you know what I mean? I'm taking it out and spray sealing it. So, I add this little section down here. And in my one card, however long that took me to do, it's just being mirrored down here. So it's like, we get the visuals of double the effort for, whatever, 45-second added time on here to this up here, which might have taken like 35, 40 minutes or something like that. So I don't know, you guys do the math. And plus, when you add those, you know what I mean? Just adding that little thing down there, people think, oh my God, I'd never be able to do that, when they look at the end result or something like that. All right, so here's waterfalls. Okay, so talking about, that waterfall type of scenario here. And here's those rocks down here. I say I've blocked them out with white, using that white pigment ink. Nature is the art of God, like that, floating in that water down there like that. But look how peaceful that looks right there. I really love that look right there. Semi-gloss cardstock up here. Dye-based inks. I got a bunch of blotchy black up there. I don't know, for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah. So yeah. Oh, okay, for something like this, you have to be careful. If you have like a focal point, I always like to keep my focal points a little bit lower down on the horizon because it's more reflective down here. You can see where it's like really crisp in terms of the reflection, but the farther you get from that reflected area and you start moving up here, the more blurred out that subject matter is going to be. So if you have these types of things like high like that, see, don't stamp your foreground imagery or stuff like this, these little textural types of things, reeds, trees, or something like that. You want those types of focal points to read down here. So I got really close on this one. It was, you know what I mean? Maybe a little bit too close, but I don't know, not so, you know what I mean? If these rocks were going over it like that, that horseback rider, that wouldn't be good. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean. This isn't like a focal point down here, and that while that's being reflected down here, you really want your kind of your main visual anchor points to to read in that reflected area. In my opinion, I think it makes it look a little bit more effective that way in terms of a kind of a visual statement. Because that's what people are going to be looking at right down there. So that when they go like that, you know what I mean? They want to see that same thing down here, not be obscured by a lot of foreground imagery. And they're doing some kind of like statement about it, that you're doing a hunter up there, and you want them obscured in the foliage or something like that, where they can't be seen by their whatever they're going after, or you know what I mean. Maybe it's a fisherman or something like that. If you can see the fish can see you, type of thing. you know. So if you're giving it to a fisherman, maybe you know what I mean, or something like that. That it's going to come into play. Okay, so Halloween type of mirror card like that. Really simple up top here with the semi-gloss white cardstock. Moon up here, flanked by trees. Dark enough to reflect down that lower area down there. And I just stamped out my skeleton right here. See, he's like on the bottom like that. I'm getting an avalanche of mirror cards here. I need to move these. I didn't think I did this many mirror cards. I've given them a lot away too, but so this Halloween type of scenario right here. So see this right here. So I put that little guy right there because it just so happened that moon was reflecting really nicely right there. So I put this little character right here where, you see what I mean? It's that moon. It's like right there. It's like it's, dancing, with that moon kind of in its clutches. As a matter of fact, it's touching the moon right there. But when you do these like moons too, there's not too much action like that. But on some of them, when you do some of them, there's a little bit more movement from when you're opening the card. So the moon looks like it's rising and moving in that reflective area right here. But look at this. Nature always wears the colors of the spirit. So, just a simple color scheme too. It's probably antique linen and walnut stained distress inks with just black ink. But I use the black ink to get those grayscale colors as well, something like that. I did try some of that embossing from the back, but you have to get that, those embossing powders reasonably hot, so it's still required. And then if you're embossing from the back on this foil, in order for that to penetrate, to get that embossing powder hot enough, you get these foil cards, and then they're like this. You know what I mean? Because you had to keep that heat on there reasonably. Now I'm moving it back and forth like that still, but it gets too bowed for me, And then, you straighten it out and everything like that, but you still have to mount that lower section to another piece of paper. You know what I mean? And there's just so much curl that goes into it. So I just think, stays on. You know what I mean? For these lower sections, images down here, it just works so much better for me. Not all of these are on stays on. I was using a lot of the Brilliance inks, but with the stays on, I no longer have to spray seal these. And, if you spray seal these, you want to block out a decent portion of this. But it will get a little bit frosted in here from spray sealing or something of that sort. Now you can emboss this upper portion if you want to, but I see that much more as like recessed and back in the distance. I'd really want these things to be more raised. I don't know. Is there some kind of like ink that I don't think there's any ink out there. I'm not talking like puffy paint or something like that. It'd be cool if there was like a some sort of ink, that we can just stamp down there that's slightly more dimensional than others. It'd be cool if we can do um, what was I? Um, oh god, I just lost my train of thought here. There was something down here, and they like this is different. I wasn't thinking about this, but like I thought about doing stuff like scan and cut too, and stamping out something like this, scan and cut, right? Because I'm not going to take the time to cut out like a tree like this. No chance. But if it can be done automatically, you can paste those things down here. But I don't know, for me, these reflection cards too. It's about kind of, you know, um, I see them as like fast types of almost embellishments. I mean, they're integral parts of the composition, no doubt, when doing stuff like that. But it's almost like I mean, this right down here is three stamps like that, and just stamped out, it's like done. You know what I mean? And I think that just adds a lot with really little effort. Okay. And I really like that. Not that I'm against effort, I'll do like large scenes or stuff like that, and I have fun during the whole process. But you know what I mean? I like the spectrum of kind of effort going into an end result that's, you know what I mean, fairly dynamic. So, I mean, we can get really dynamic results from that whole thing about relatively little effort. So I can dip into my laziness characteristic that's in me, as well as the part that would put forth a great deal of effort. So I can experience my full kind of spectrum of whatever's in the personality. Okay. Oh, right here. Look at this one right here. So we're talking about. I need to cut these portions off right here to make it more flush, but pools of water, right? So look at this one right here. Cave, right? Oh, and this one right here, I usually avoid doing this, okay? Because if I have like see those little crystal gems in here? These are clear ones. Like, see how that's real sparkly up there? I usually avoid that because this is going down into this mirrored section, right? And we don't want a bunch of things putting dents in our, silver area. But I figured this one has enough things going off down here. And then I put those crystals down here. I put a lot of them, apparently. See, there's a bunch of them down here too. So, you know what I mean? I think they would, you'd have to, consider, when you're mailing this to someone, though, you don't want to like put through like an auto sorter type of thing. You might have to put some bubble wrap around it. You know what I mean? Stamp, send it out in a padded type of thing. But here's that water right here. Now, see, I can't see that figure up here because he's too high. You have to go like that. But I thought that looked pretty cool like that, just with those rocks in here. And I thought it looked pretty reminiscent of, like what a cave would look like with, water in it or whatnot. Like that. I haven't looked at this one in a while. Oh, okay, here's some things that I did too. Okay, so see where I have these light beams coming in here? That's where you would see reflected light. So I put the crystals in those beams in a lot of, different areas. And then the crystals seem like they're in mostly the illuminated areas right here. Because you wouldn't be able to see this little shimmery light if there's, if it's completely in the darkness in here. So I did that. I'll have to remember that. It's not, it's not like a technique that I did. It was just like, did it for this time. And those are the types of things I tend to forget. completely, right there. But caves, we got a lot of people started doing the cave things, which is really cool after that one. But here's a cave, mirror card like that. I don't know. I need to use these little crystals more. I think in those water reflective areas like that, because I think it looks really cool on that silver cardstock too. Maybe on the gold too, or something like that type of thing. Thousands and thousands of dots, Linda. Yeah, 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 yeah. The purple. Yeah, yeah, that was a purple. Yeah, they did the purple tree challenge of that one right there. What type of brand of the smaller acrylic paint pens? I was told about these pens. I don't have experience using a lot, okay? But I've mentioned in other videos that I speculate that they're all made in the same factory, but this is the 42 Artistro 0.7 extra fine paint pens. Oh, I'm glad they don't have it on here. On my other set of just white pens by, they stopped making them. But they look exactly like these ones in terms of the barrel, the tip, everything. Some of these pens, this one has this translucent, to almost clear barrel right here so that you can see when your inks are kind of mixed up really well. Some of them are opaque, but yeah, on one of them, it said glass, whatever, wood, metal, and it said skin. Not on the Artistro ones, but on another set of pens. I forget the name of those ones. But I don't know, those ones are working fantastic for me. But they all work pretty good for me. I've used different brands, and they all have that same kind of, it has the same exact cap. Okay, this tells me that this stuff is probably coming out of the same factory. You know what I mean? It's just different labeling on it, different barrel, but it's the same mold. And the molds are the most expensive things to make in manufacturing, So I think it's just the same stuff. Okay, this is copper foil up top. I'm sure it's the Recollections one. I wanted to find out something to do with this. I don't use this copper color too often, but this tropical type of scenario like this. And then I liked it with this gold foil down below like that, okay? But see this right here where I did this, I flanked it with the palm trees right here. Here's the palm stalks right here. Oh, and just this lower section of the Seaside Cove down here. But see, I didn't block off the reflected area of the huts with these trees like that. So, that's the only thing. Oh, and see, those huts aren't going to stand out really well. So I made the white tops of them, and I just masked off the tops of the roofs with the piece of paper, and then, speaking of the Artistro or the extra fine paint pens, went into the windows of those huts. So you can do that with like cabins and things like that. Any type of structure, if there's windows on it, chances are they might be. I make them black because in a daytime scenario, the windows would be dark, okay? But when I'm doing them in a darker scenario like this, like daytime, nighttime or something like that, twilight, whatever, if the areas are around it a little bit darker, I interior illuminate my structures, because it becomes a very welcoming type of thing. But when it comes to the mirror cards, the windows really stand out, with the contrast like that. So, I mean, those sides of the huts are just, straight, copper foil. But you see those windows really reflecting down there really nicely in this mirror scenario. Look at that gold up there. This is the gold lighting right here, reflecting back up in here like that. So now I have these studio lights that are right overhead or whatnot, but it's interesting how that lighting coming from this gold back into that copper looks. That looks actually kind of interesting, huh? It looks like a, um, I don't know, kind of some kind of light, celestial type of, not northern lights, but I don't know, it looks like something like that. Oh, that looks kind of cool. Experiencing some new, different types of things within these scenes for the first time. I haven't looked at all, like every angle of all these types of things before. Holographic. Okay, Arlene got her holographic cardstock. Can't wait to try some of the new techniques. Did you get that one that's that super hard contrast one, Arlene? Or what type of holographic did you get? And it's the holographic cardstock, right? It's not the holographic printable vinyl. It's like the ones that, like that blue one, wherever it was. Let's see. Yeah. Did you get the like? You know, it might not be the same color, but it was that. Was it that one that you just got? If people didn't see this one, I put this card together here. I finally pasted it down on the beginning of this video right here. But one of the things about this cardstock too, if that's the one you got, Arlene, is like look at it under different light. There's my little incandescent light on it, you know, opening up like a different spectrum of light to it. And this is just fluorescent lights on it. It's fun stuff. If you now if you haven't used holographic cardstocks before, you know what I mean? Get the feel of it, you know what I mean? I mean, you might have a lot of experience using that type of thing, but if you don't get frustrated. Like when I was stamping on like foils too, slippery surfaces, you know, be careful when you're stamping whatever you are on them, okay? Like word stamps especially, okay? Because you tend to go like this, and because nothing is being absorbed into the cardstock, no moisture or anything, it's all on the surface. So just make sure that when you stamp like that, you don't go like that. It happens to me all the time. Now, if you're not doing it with stays on or something like that, you just wipe it off, you know, like the foil or whatever, okay, or, you know, holographics. You can do that, unless it stays on or something like that. But just, you know what I mean, get the feel of it. You know, pull out a little scrap piece and, you know, get a couple of impressions on there and see how it's working. And also see how long you stamp on there with whatever ink you're using before you lift it off. So like Brilliance inks or something like that, I hold it down a little bit longer before I lift off so that that ink can kind of start setting up and transfer. But I find with the stays on ink, if I go like this, if I hold it down too long, it's like that ink is dried on there and it's like stuck on there and I have to, you know, like peel it off. Then like I think the ink just stayed on the stamp itself. So I need to stamp what stays on faster. So, I don't know, it's like do some stamp calisthenics first. All right, so just real simple. Look at this scene right here. It's it's two stamps right here because that's the hot sun. But it's a sun stamp or a moon or something like that. But if you're doing it on a mirrored scenario like that, stamp half of it. So it's like a half circle like that, right? So it looks like it's rising or setting, whatever you want to see it, on the surface. So it's another way to use your, you know, ball in the sky type of thing, be it a moon or a sun or something like that. It's really fun. Yeah, you'll have to try some of that, Arlene. If you have some of these mirrors, I mean, you don't have to use, you know, the put things in a mirror format, you know, for the use of the holographics. But you know what I mean. If the holographics, here's another thing too. I mean, I don't know how much, you know, I'm not thinking about this when I'm, you know, using these things. I'm just thinking about in terms of, you know, the card effectiveness. But this silver cardstock right here, from, you know, when I bought it, and I just bought another pack of it because I ran out. That 60 full-size sheets were like, I think it was still like $17 or $18 or something like that. I was shocked that it didn't go up to 25 or something like that. But that's a lot of sheets of that type of thing. But if the holographics are, you know what I mean, they're a little bit more expensive, right? It doubles, you know, the visuals of that more expensive paper up top with this cheap area down below. So it's like you're doubling, you know what I mean? The visuals, at least. You're not doubling the paper, but you're doubling the visuals of whatever those papers are bringing to the party, you know, in terms of how they look in that different scenario down here. But okay, so this is just a couple stamps up top here. You know, I put the clouds up there with that rip paper towel, you know, white pigment ink application up top. But this is just one stamp down below like that in the form of those palm fronds like that. Okay, but together, it's missing something in the center of it, isn't it? Like we can put a little bit of a someone out doing some night fishing or something like that, you know, or canoeing or something like that. I don't know, it looks good like that just as is too, I guess. But look at that glowing kind of orb like that. And look at those, you know, those trees down here like that. And again, you have that, what do you call that again? Parallax, okay? Thing going on where people are going to get the visuals of this right here. But if they go like this, see this right here isn't moving as much, right? It's like on that axis, but these are moving a lot more. It's like if you have your hand in front of something and you go like this, you know, the things way off in the distance are moving less than things that are closer to you. So you get that little parallax type of effect like that. Like this is going like clear over here, but this thing just like rotated just slightly. So you get a lot of that depth perception type of thing going on in this type of card, all in the span of, you know, four and a quarter inches or something like that, you know? So we're kind of mimicking, you know, what's happening with the eye and distance, you know, in a very abbreviated fashion like that. So, okay, so this is the Autumn Brook right here, and this is Autumn Bank left. But see, I stamped out that stamp up there, but that stamp goes down here. So I stamped it, the top portion up there, the bottom portion down here, just in separate impressions. I didn't go like that. Photo paper, you know, with a cloud print, that, you know, so that blue is actually going all underneath these trees like this. But we have, you know, speaking of the paint pens, you know, you just go in there and fill in that area. And I colored in here with alcohol pens too. But then where, you know, where you get some of that delineation between blue and white, if it is happening in here, then you just kind of put some opaque, you know, paint pen work over the top of it. Okay, but this is what I like about this one right here too. See, I stamped out this lower portion down here, okay, of this Autumn Brook. You can see where I've broken it off from right up here to down here. But then when you fold it in, not fold it in half like that, but when you angle it like that at 45 degrees, look how much more dimension it looks like down here. See, there's that parallax again. Here's the reflection of that down here, but see, this bank is right there moving against that reflection down there. It looks really dimensional, you know what I mean? And it's not a dimensional piece that we created. It's just two flat cards, you know, but it looks really three-dimensional to me. Relatively speaking, for the effort. I mean, it doesn't look, you know, it's not like a pop-up card or something like that, but I think it does give that feeling of a pop-up card, but without all the work, you know. I like pop-up cards. I'm not against it. I love all those three-dimensional cards. So this is my attempt to do, you know, like three-dimensional pieces, but in just in a really simplistic fashion, you know. I love those cards that they like people, you know, that, what are those cards that you open it up and it has all those different little facets and stuff like that, and people do in scenic stamping, there's like little different scenes and whatever on that. I love the look of that thing. That's one of my favorite looks, but I just don't do it because, you know, it's too advanced for me. But these I can handle. So just real simplistic applications. Oh, on this one right here too, I tried something down here before that didn't work. I think I put a bunch of white pigment ink down here, and then I stamped over the top of it with certain stamps in dye-based ink, which has worked on certain types of things, but it didn't on this one. So one of the benefits of this is before you spray seal it using certain media, okay, I just wiped it all off down there. So there's a video of this one with all this different thing, stuff going down here. But you can still see see it's all blotchy, kind of uh, ink down here. But you know what I mean? You're not really aware of it when you see it like that. So I just wiped it off. It's like wiping it off glass or something like that. And it just came right off, you know. But the big thing, the visual is this, going on down here, right up in this area. People aren't going to be looking at this card if you give it to someone and say, "Hey, what happened here?" I don't think they're even going to see it. So um, there are different colors in the pack. They're not as dark as that. I could not find the really dark one. What colors did you get though, Arlene? Because it had to be. If it's from that same seller that I got it from, it's got to be the same stuff. Unless you got a different color pack. But that's the blue pack right there. Now remember, I have in my studio right here, I have a ton of different lights going on. So I don't know. The dark blue holograph, yeah, it was. But the dark blue, it came in a pack of like 5 colors, was it? Linda, you got this pack too, right? There's two kind of that really holographic-y looking one, but then there's like 3 more like iridescent, just straight blues or something like that. Um, you can always watch the replays, CM Hawkins. In fact, yeah. Just have the videos playing like 24 hours a day. That's the best thing. Oh, here's that thing with remember the moonrise thing that I was talking about? Okay, so this isn't on the horizon, but I was just talking about the movement. But see, when we open it like that, see that moon is kind of moving around a little bit down in that lower section like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it's not, exactly like the moon rising, like going like this. But there's a decent degree of movement. One thing I liked about this one too was, so I have this area of white right here, but watch as it comes across. This is the lakeside, seaside cove right in here, but watch how that goes like that. It looks like the waves or something coming in here. You know what I mean? Like this. Or it's just like moving in like that. And I thought I need to do something where this is real kind of, there's striations of white up here. But then we have this, because the Seaside Cove has that little, those white water down here. It's that spindrift coming off the top of the wave. But if I do that, and I have like these little things reflected down here, then it would move that white area like that coming into the foreground like that. So I would have like more striations down here. Not the moon. Well, I guess you could do the moon, but if you had these little striations of like white up here, opening and closing that, you'd have that movement of that white water coming in. So I never experimented. I forgot about it, but that's what I wanted to do after I did this scene right here. But here, this is supposed to represent the shore, the sand right in here. Let me see if I can show you what this is. Oh, you can see my little highlights like that. Oh, I did it in blue and white like that, because this is a blue area up top. So you use your blue and, I don't know, like the Artistra set has a gazillion blues right here. You can put, any of these. Sometimes, if you adding too much of like the most extreme contrasty highlight is just too much. So, like the Artistra set has like a full spectrum of values in blue right here. And that's what those ones are right up there. Like about like so. You can't really like see it too much. There's a little bit of a blue tinge on it like that. But anyway. Oh, yeah. Here's this too. So see that right there? That little solo canoeist right there. I aimed him for kind of an angle where I would be viewing. Maybe I didn't angle it really well because I think I would put it. I think I didn't. Yeah. Oh, I can't put it down here because there was like I wouldn't put them in the like the crashing waves or something like that. But I tried to put this canoeist in an area where they'd be going across that moon like that, you know, or at a reasonable angle to whatever light source you're. So you can think about things like that too if you're doing things like this. You know, put that little put your little characters in kind of an interesting reflected area, you know, from whatever's happening up top like that. And I don't know, the full moon's like a perfect, you know, way to do that. And again, that's just with the punch like that. A few little stars up here, like about like so. More greens and lighter blues. Huh. I don't know what that one is, Arlene. Uh, is there a green pack? There might have been a green pack, now that I think about it. I didn't buy all the packs. I have the gold and the blue. But the gold pack has like numerous colors in it. Like the red and what was that other color in there? I don't know, the gold. The gold's like an extreme back. Okay, so this one right here is again using those like crystals up there. I went pretty big with those crystals. Those crystals, I don't think I'm going to use like the extreme big ones again. But this is a glow in the dark vinyl moon. Okay, I thought we'd be able to find like these types of things easily these days. You know, I got that at the. Oh my gosh, I already forgot the name of that store that was in all those moral Imaginarium. Okay, but here's this reflected area down here, right? And that, now I have too many lights on in the studio right now, but these little vinyl moons really glow really good. So you can turn off the lights in here and then have this moon kind of like rising up like that and reflected down in that area. And this moon, when you charge it up with lighting, is not too bad. Oh, heck, here. I'm gonna let me charge this up and let's show you guys what this looks like here. I'm almost done here, so let me flip some of these off. Gazillion lights here. Okay, so let me see. Let me turn on my incandescent here so I can see. All right. Okay, let me charge this up with some light here. Now watch it not glow at all. Okay, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I don't know if my camera. I hope my camera is going to be able to focus in on this because there's going to be very little light. It's just going to be by this little glowing moon here. But oh, okay. Well, okay. So. See that right there? But see that the clouds, you know, are catching that that moon, and then you know you can do this type of thing to it right here. But I don't know, it's pretty fun. Okay, so that being said, if you have some like glow in the dark paper or something like that, I think it'd be kind of cool. You know, you have like a moon stamp or something like that. You can stamp a moon out. But I had a heck of a time finding glow-in-the-dark paper. Okay, but I did find some glow-in-the-dark sticker paper to use on something. Glow-in-the-dark vinyl, I'm sorry. Glow-in-the-dark printable vinyl. And it was expensive, okay, but it's really good. I wouldn't buy it again, probably, unless I don't know, unless I start using it a lot or something like that. But it was fairly expensive, so, but, you know what I mean? You can make it go a long way. I mean, you can probably, you know, if you're going to use it just for moons or something like that, you can probably get, I don't know, 200 moons out of that pack. It was like 5 sheets or something like that, and I think it was like $10 or I don't know, it might have been more than that. But anyways, you know, glow-in-the-dark sticker. I've had those stickers, these Imaginarium stickers, like these little puffy stickers, that really for kids or something like that. But I'd pick those up when I went into that store. There were earth ones, like fish, nature things, way back when. I'm talking about like 30 years, like 25, 30 years ago. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of fun in this, type of mirrored scenario like this too. And if it's light enough, if you have something light around it, this is just directly on this black piece of paper right here. So, pretty simple to do in Moonlight is sculpture, So it makes for a pretty fun scenario again. I always talk about this. I talk about this all the time, but if you give a card to someone and oh my gosh. Okay, so here's that glow in the dark paper right here. Um, all right, here, let's do this one more time here. Let me make sure that okay, there's no more glow in the darks here, right? Okay. I might as well show it while we're doing this. I'm not going to do another mirror card. I'm not going to have a look back at me, glow in the dark, uh, whatever cards. So let me charge this up. So this is the printable glow in the dark vinyl. Okay. It feels like a piece of rubber or something like that. Okay, so this is my bayou scenario. You know what I mean? So kind of a cool, kind of a greenish tinge type of scenario I'm thinking about under a moonlit, whatever night type of thing right here. So, and there you have it like that. So someone opens this up. And then you have that down there, and there's like my little foreground types of things in there. See that? You get the bayou lights in there, and okay, you see this down here? I have this glow in the dark paint. So see that my little, you can't really see it here because it's light against light, but see this little glow in the dark little dots like that? I can see it in person here glowing, but it's not really picking up on my thing because there's so little light in here. My camera has to concentrate exposure-wise back there, but I have little glowing fireflies right here and here. Okay, and that's using the glow in the dark. I don't know what it's an ink or paint, I don't know. Down there. So, you know what I mean? But okay, so here's this thing again. This stuff's kind of expensive, right? So I have this cheap silver mirrored area down below, right? And that, it's kind of doubling up. Okay, you see my little fireflies down here. You make sure, your money go twice as far, kind of, by just mirroring it. And it's, I don't have too much stuff going on in that lower section right there, but, here it is down here. Okay. And I'm trying to think of if I did anything for that window. I don't think I did. But yeah, this is just on a piece of 4 by pre-folded purple card like that. I thought the purple would go well with that glow-in-the-dark greenish, tinge right there. It'd be good. It'd be a good, someone was mentioning the Halloween type of scenario, right? That, so yeah, glow-in-the-dark is. I thought when I read glow-in-the-dark is cool. I just did a quick glance over. I thought it was going to say glow in the dark is old school because I said that is cool, and I was going to say yes, it is old school. We used to go in those like stores like in the 70s with all those black light types of posters. They can flip through and stuff like that. But I say this all the time here. Oh yeah, Shelley, yeah. I don't know if you saw those other those other lightning pieces there. For thanks for yeah, I did that lightning. Shelly was the one that brought that up there with the lightning, so we did that one. But I had those lightning scenarios in the mirrored type of thing like that. But I think I might have done a video one time where I think I was stamping. I think I brought out my black light, and I did a piece using the glow-in-the-dark media and surfaces under a black. I think I did. I can't remember it now. Oh, Shelly can see the glowing dots. I was just kidding, Shelly. It's they were really not there, so I was just seeing if I can put that suggestion out there where people would start seeing it. And I'm just kidding. They're down there. But aren't those fun though? I think those are. Oh, I don't remember. I don't see. Oh, here it is right here. I think it's this. Okay, let me turn off the light so you can see this glowing. I'm just joking. This thing glows pretty well. Okay, so these are just like a few dots of this right here. Maybe you can, some, this thing right here, I don't think, okay, it's by Plaid of all, places. Not that, not that they wouldn't have it, but Plaid had it, right? So glow in the dark. Maybe you can make your own. People can make their own glow in the dark paper. You can probably brayer this onto, I'd probably brayer it onto like some stiff cardstock because this is kind of, okay, this is paint. Okay, it's not ink. So if you can brayer it onto something and make your own, it would just be a matter if you can stamp on it though, right? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's acrylic. So you might have to stamp over the top of it with stays on, something like that. That'd be kind of interesting though. I don't know if this is not as strong though, I don't think, as that vinyl. But if it's 1/10 the price, who cares, It's not like we don't need that to be glowing, you know what I mean, for half an hour because no one's going to be, I don't think people are going to be just continually, whatever, what is it? I can't think of the, mesmerized or whatever, looking at it for a half an hour while it fades out or something like that. But it's pretty bright, you guys saw it, on screen, I think. But, yeah. Linda B, glow in the dark challenge for the Facebook group. Everyone, start doing mirrored glow-in-the-dark pieces as a challenge now. Grown-up kids, that's what I think, Yeah. Jimi Hendrix black light posters. Yeah, all those different types of posters out there. They were like, a lot of them were like velvet or whatever. Not all of them, but I just remember going and looking at those posters, like flipping through them all the time, kind of, and dreaming of a room full of, black light posters and, with a black light on them and, maybe a lava lamp or something like that, which was just, it was just meant to be a dream. It had to stay a dream because I never got that type of thing. Just real simple mirror card, photo stamping right there. This is really simple. I think I posted this one. Everyone loves these types of cards like this, though. If I post something like this on Facebook, because if it looks really simple, they feel that it's easier to do, okay? They feel that it'd be much easier to do than something that's going to be glowing like that. But we're not doing the glowing thing, or the holographics. They think, people say the holographic thing, but we're not like creating the paper to do those things. But a lot of times I'm finding that people these days, a lot of, people that, are a little bit newer to the process or something like that. If it looks more dynamic, then that equates to hard or something like that. But I mean, I could have stamped this on top of, glow in the dark paper or that holographic paper, for Northern Lights types of things going on here. But, I think this looks really good in its simplicity too. Just stamping, Lakeside Cove on there in black ink. 2 impressions of the pines and rocks, uh, kayak side right there, and done. So just a really simplistic, but I think still, and it looks kind of whimsical and I don't know, what's the word I'm looking. I don't know. I lose my words in these videos like this, but I don't know. Having that kind of out there like that is just I don't know, in this mirrored type of surface like that. When people see those mirrored kind of bodies of water like that are just perfectly kind of mirrored, I don't know, it gives you a certain type of like emotional feeling to it, the stillness of it, I guess. And also when you see something like this too, we're looking at these things visually, not to get too out there and away from this mirror card video here, but this type of thing right here, when you have that perfectly still water like that, you kind of bring in an auditory element to the piece. I guess you can say kinesthetic too, because you're saying that the air is completely still out there. And if it's out in nature like that, it would probably be perfectly silent, or, I guess we would hear the sounds of that kayaker going across the water or something like that. But all those types of things start to come into play, especially with, scenic stamping or something like that. It transports you a little bit, kind of mentally out there. But then, we're sensory people, and emotions are about kinesthetics and feeling. We are auditory, so it's a visual type of scenario here. But the stillness right here, it's just very calming because you get that aspect of the auditory and visual in there too. I mean, auditory and kinesthetic. So think about the other senses out there too. Some people do like very windy scenes or something like that, and you can feel almost from just looking at something in a visual sense, how that might look, or how that might feel to be there, I should say. Yeah. Arlene, yeah, that's what I always say. If you can add on like any little extra thing, like bling into something for kids, I think it just makes it extra special for them, like those little books out there that are pop-up books, talking about 3D or interactive, anything that becomes interactive, because kids like to touch things, or the kid in me does too, you know what I mean? I almost like things like science centers, museums, more than art museums for me, because I still like touching things. I like getting my hands on the things, and I think that's in us all, because again, it's like that kinesthetic thing, you know what I mean? Going to somewhere where you go to the art museum, hands off, it's visual, right? And you don't want to talk too much either, so you're kind of removing out some of those aspects like that. But yeah, anything to get them kind of playing around. Okay, now I just did this one too, but I just made this scene right here. See, this was the scene that I had. It was a demonstration of the light beams and whatnot, but it was kind of missing something for me. Oh, people were asking about embossing. So these elements in here, you can see they're shiny and raised, they're embossed. But this piece in here for me was looking a little anemic, okay? And I thought it could use a little bit of extra something. So I just paired it with this, mirrored section down below. Oh, I splatter painted in here too. I think there's a lot of dust on this too. Oh, don't store these like this. Or you have to watch it, because like, I guess like these reflection cards and black cars, they show the dust, So now I did get some splatter painting down here, because I splatter painted it up here to have this little explosion of light to kind of kick this up. But I just added this little section down here. It's the leaves and reads large stamp down here. Reason and Faith quote stamp, Scenic Sentiments. And I just thought that made this piece so much better. So in this case, doing a mirror card type of scenario, for me, saved this piece. I don't know. I mean, it was reasonably dynamic in the background, but it was still looking a little bit anemic. So another thing too is I chose the warm toned gold instead of the silver because I needed something a little bit of warmth. So I don't know if you can tell, but see, this is just like that. But then when you go like this, do you see that warmth reflecting back up in there? It changed it altogether. So I have these glowing peach tones up there and whatnot now, where it was, it's looking a little anemic by. I mean, I have some warm tones up there too, but this is just so much more like that. It's subtle, because this is just reflecting off of that. I don't know what it looked like with incandescent. Yeah, that doesn't really make a difference on that one, but I don't know. I just think it's like way better like that. And it feels like it's just more a complete card. Not that, all cards are going to look better in a mirror card scenario like that, but it's always a good option for, you know what I mean? If you have something that's going on that just you think could, use something and it would be natural, it wouldn't be kind of weird to. Maybe I stamped this whole bottom section down here too. I can't remember if I just did this like 2 weeks ago, I think, or whatever. But I might have put some extra foliage down here. Yeah, I think I did because I think that meadow just went down here, but I put in all this extra here to create a water's edge. I think I did that. I'm not sure if I did it in that mirror card formatting piece because this one had been sitting around for months and months, and it was like happened to be on the top of a pile that I was looking at too. So I'd look at it all the time and think, it's just not. It wasn't doing it for me. But this I think looks so much better too. And then that little quote stamp there, word stamps create kind of an extra visual anchor point because if someone opens this up, they're going to be looking at that deer first, and they'll probably the light beams will probably catch their eye, but then people always read something if there's words on there, so it creates another thing. So they're looking at that, they're probably coming around like this and following these light beams around, and then they'll follow this path probably around in here, and they'll get back to this word stamp or something like that and come around in here. So it's like you're capturing them in like an endless loop. Yeah, never able to put down the card. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things. If you can get them looking at something for a little bit of time, that's always a good thing. So it's what we always learned in illustration. If you can kind of, someone's flipping through a magazine or something like that, if you can get them to stop for because maybe the litmus test would be like grandkids or something like that. If you can get them to slow down or something like that, or get them to hey, that's glow in the dark right there. You can go over and put it under a light and to run into the, their closet or something like that, for that span of time. I don't know if they ever do it again, but that's a win for me. If anytime you can get someone to kind of like ponder something for a few extra seconds or whatever, that's always a good thing. And, something like this, people could put it up on the, the mantle or whatever, and I think when they're walking by it, these mirrored types of, reflective types of foils kind of capture light too. So if you have light coming in, you know what I mean? It's glaring up in their faces and, or, if you have something like this somewhere and they put it on something where, light's coming into a room, it's probably reflecting kind of on the ceiling or a wall somewhere, how those types of things go. So that'd be kind of cool too. It'd probably knock off, if these things are up here in dye-based inks, it might fade them out, but, who cares? It's like, doesn't need to last for too long. If you have a really effective card, that someone's enjoying for a while and it's sitting out, I think that's a good thing. Pure sense of calmness. Yes, serenity. Anyway, those are my mirror card walkthroughs right there. Those are, I think, I don't want to, I was going to say, I don't think I'm going to walk around and like, oh my God, here's another like 20 cards that I didn't see, because these are all kind of newer types of. It's a newer construction that I've been playing around with over this last. I don't know when I did that first one. It's probably been a year and a half. So a couple of those cards, maybe the more simple ones, were probably in 2021. But exploring a little bit more of this, whatever 45-degree angle dynamic here with the gold and the silver, was mostly done over this last year. And when I start doing those things, it really starts to open up a lot of different ideas to me. With specifically some of the compositions that I've done over the years, sometimes it's like, oh, I wonder what that would look like mirrored like that, because we do a lot of bodies of water in, water's a pretty, significant kind of thematic visual in scenic stamping, be it ponds, waterfalls, or lakes, you know what I mean? Those types of things like that. So why not? I've always liked to mirror things, so if it's on a piece of paper, I'd stamp something out. And if it was a lake or something like that, I'd have a lake in here and I'd stamp a sky up top and I'd stamp it down below on that same piece of paper to make it look real mirrored. But now, you can actually incorporate a mirror into it and have it look probably more dynamic than if it was just on a single piece of, white cardstock or something like that. I still like white cardstock, and whatnot, but I don't know. It's just really hard to beat that three-dimensional dynamic of and process of opening up one of these things like that. There's movement to it, so it's just really fun. I think that'd be a good way to do it too, with like kids or the kids in all of us too, like, we're always saying here. But let's see, what is it there? Shelley was saying, so we're going to do these glow in the dark cards. Everyone bust out that your lava lamps, and if anyone has an oil lamp, oil lamp, lava lamp, not so much those plasma balls, but that would be okay too. And then make those, make some glow in the dark pieces, We have a glow in the dark 70s psychedelic Zoom meeting thing, We're at our tables and we can share, we can hold up our glow in the dark pieces like that, and I don't know what else. Nothing illegal, but the good parts of the I don't know, the pop culture types of stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I even had one of those black light types of posters. We had a black light, but I think that was later on like that. It was hard to, it wasn't easy to find black lights, at one point in time. Now you can get them at every, at the, what is it, the Halloween store or whatnot, Yeah, those glow in the dark ones, they have a different feel to them. There's a different emotional type of quality to looking at glow in the dark. I wouldn't say it's calm. Well, that Bayou one or the Moon one. I don't know what it is. It taps into a different thing, I think, altogether. Yeah, the gold reflection foil is really fun, Linda. I think I did one originally because I might have ran out of like a half-page piece of silver or something like that. So I paired up something with the gold, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty good. I thought we had to go for the more mirrored, the better. So silver being the most kind of mirror-like chrome, where it's not distorting colors, I think was what I was thinking about. But somewhere along the line, I tried the gold, and I thought it worked really well. It's just a warmer tinge of, the same reflective. It doesn't have quite as much contrast in the gold because, see, this would be white down here instead of that golden color. But, I think that golden color looks really good in this, in many of your warmer types of color schemes up top. I think I'm guessing going forward, I'm guessing that anything that has warm tones up above, I would probably 95% of the time use the gold foil down below for it. I don't know, I I'm guessing that just because it brings in a little bit of added warmth, and then that added warmth is reflecting up there, maybe making the whole thing glow a little bit more. I don't know. But yeah. Okay, so not so trippin' allowed. You can if you want to. The only rule is just do whatever it takes for you to kind of enjoy the moment, living in the moment better, the whole scenario. So yeah, I have some black lights around. I have a black light, a fluorescent black light now that I think I was using on that one experiment. But I don't know. I need to pull out the plaid glow in the dark sometime a little bit more, maybe. The glow in the darks too, with the mirror things. That glow in the dark isn't so extreme, so I don't know. I need to come. We need like I don't know, like a 3-inch wide moon or something like that for that one, so that it really casts a lot of light. But I'll try something with the plaid at some point until I'll try to brayer on. I'll take a piece of like the semi-gloss cardstock, and I'll brayer some glow-in-the-dark paint on there, allow it to dry, and see how useful it is in terms of being able to stamp on it, or we'll see how much of a charge it holds. So I'll do an experiment with that one right there, because I don't believe that acrylic paint was very expensive, and it's a big, you know what I mean? It's a fairly big bottle, you know what I mean? What else am I going to use that for? In that other scene, I used it for like, four, so 5 fireflies or something like that, I think that's all I've used it for so far. No, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 15 little dots in here. So I see I did these dots right here. I know this is all blurred out right here, but I did the fireflies here, the dots in the foreground, bigger than these ones in the background. Now, ideally, these ones would be even smaller, but that glow-in-the-dark paint isn't so strong as we saw. I don't know if we could see these ones in the background at all. You have to put a decent dollop down there of it, or maybe you have to do like 2 layers, allow that to dry, and then go back in and build it up more, probably. But yeah, but I'll see if that works there. But I don't know. I think glow in the dark. You know what I mean? Not we just don't. We haven't made use of that enough in the paper arts, paper crafting, right? Card making. you know, and the mirror things. I hope more people start doing these mirror things, because I think they're really dynamic and whatnot. I don't have a patent on it, so I want to. I'm glad I saw somewhere. Someone posted something. I'm seeing it on the Facebook, not necessarily in the Facebook Stampscapes group where people are doing that, but I saw them like Stamp Junkies. It's like, oh right, want people to take advantage of that, but everyone's used to the main stuff of the cards being on the outside. But you know what I mean? There's something to be said for a reveal like that. It's like you're opening up like in Pulp Fiction, the movie, that briefcase, and it's like this glowing thing showing on the outside. So it's kind of fun to do for someone to open up like that. You know what I mean? So maybe you can set them up. You can be like a little bit more kind of, I wouldn't say boring, but simple on the outside. And then they open it up and boom, you know what I mean? You hit them with impact. So, you're talking about contrast. We're usually talking about contrast in terms of textural contrast and light and dark in, scenes and stuff like that. But it could be like an emotional contrast where people are like, see the card, they're usually getting really awesome cards from you, and they see it and it looks really kind of minimal. We'll call it minimal and not boring. But then they open it up and boom, you hit them with, so it looks even more, there's even more of a special impact because you set them up. kind of with some expectations of, potentially being maybe a little bit let down if they've received your other things, in the past. So, yeah. Yeah, the red foil, I think the gold with the red foil, I think, would be a good thing. Arlene's going to get the glass of wine, or the bottle of it for that for the glow in the dark party or the psychedelic party. Let's see. I just had an idea. Glow in the dark in the storm scene that you did. Oh, that would be perfect there, Shelley. Yeah, the glow in the dark lightning. Perfect. Yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be cool if we can do some glow in the dark impressions of things, but I just don't. Yeah, I guess you could, but you know how you take and you braille like on a piece of glass, ink or something like that to give it a really even coat, and then you can probably take a stamp. I wouldn't do some stamps, but you can probably take a stamp and stamp into it, and then make your impression in that ink. But maybe it went. But that paint there, that acrylic paint though, if you made impressions with it, it'd probably be too weak though for it to glow very much. Okay, forget about that one. I think that one wouldn't work really well. But yeah, you can paint on where you stamp out your lightning like this, and then just take your brush and then, paint in those little bolts. There's probably paint glow in the dark markers too, though, right? I don't know if it'll be as thick as painting on acrylic paint to it, where you. But I think there were some glow in the dark markers, paint markers or something like that. I don't think there would be. I don't think it would be coming in the form like this. It would be great if it did and it never clogged. But that would be even more ideal for doing these things like that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Or if I'm gonna look and see if there's some paint markers in there too, because when I'm doing things like ocean scenes too, about those kind of what is it, phosphorescent plankton, or there's like organisms too that kind of glow. I think I would add a lot of those types of things in addition to like white highlights with glow in the dark. I mean, I think that'd be really cool. And I have a lanternfish stamp. Is 2023 going to be kind of an exploration in glow in the darks? I don't know. I can't see that happening, but you know, it'd be cool to do like a few cards, utilizing that. We're gonna have it's a wine party at Arlene's place. Forget about the Zoom meeting. We're showing up at your place. I'll bring my glow in the dark paint and brayer. Yeah, that glow in the dark lightning. So if you do something with the lightning, if you're doing something with the glow in the dark on it, I would probably darken the perimeter around the lightning a little bit more, maybe, because I don't know how much that lightning is going to glow. So we want to really give it that, a good degree of impact, I think. So, yeah, I'll try that sometime. I'll make use of that plaid a little bit more, like that. You only have glow in the. I think I have glow in the dark embossing powder too, and I haven't used it. Um, I think I do. It's either I have it or I saw it somewhere. I think I know I saw it though. I might be thinking of this one that I bought though. I bought the holographic embossing powder that I wanted to sprinkle on kind of a shoreline in the sand, in front of the seaside cove. I think I wanted to do that or something like that. Or no, maybe I wanted to emboss my like rocks down in the water line, you know what I mean? When rocks are wet, like at the beach, and they look so much better than when they're dry. I think that's when I got that embossing powder for that. I wanted to emboss those rocks where they would shimmer, you know what I mean? But I don't know, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So, wait, so Vintage Strap Girl, have you used the glow in the dark embossing powder before? And if you have, did it hold a decent? How was the glowing aspect of it? Did it hold a decent light charge to it? Where what I mean, where it glowed, for even if it glows for 60 seconds, then I mean, that's fine. I had something that I had another type of glowing ink, and I swear that charge lasted like 3 seconds or something like that. Um, oh, I just remembered. I think I bought this thing of ink, and I used it once, and it was really weak. It was super anemic, so I didn't use it again. And then when I went back to it at some point in time to use it, it had completely dried up. It was like acrylics, so it was like just a ball. It feels like rubber, you know what I mean? So I think it was just completely dried like that. Okay, so there's glow in the dark paint pens. Are you saying, Shelly, or yeah, are they out there? Foamies inked in glow in the dark paint. I don't know if you can use acrylic paints on those foamies, Linda. You might be able to, but I can see potentially if you don't get all that acrylic off. Acrylic has a real kind of rubbery feel to it, like acrylic paints, and when it dries, you touch it, and to me, it feels like rubber. I wouldn't want to clog up any of that absorbent aspect of the foamy material, even though acrylics are water-based. I'd be a little bit hesitant, especially in some of those, because you know what I mean. These are foamies, but you can't just like squeeze them out like a it's a really dense foam, so you can't like squeeze them out like a kitchen sponge, getting everything out of it like that. But it would be interesting, though. It would be those would be the things, though, potentially, that could work. Maybe if it was a solid image, where there's not much like small tone in there, where the raised area is the only thing that's coming in contact with the glow in the dark paint. Maybe, I don't know. I'll ask KP. KP's the owner of the Art Foamies uh, line company or whatever. If she's used acrylic on there, she might have. I know gesso works on it, but gesso seems thinner than acrylic paints. Gesso, when you wash it out, it looks like, I don't know, some thin powder or something like that. I haven't worked with acrylics too much over the years. In school, we never learned with acrylics. We were always doing oil painting. And, I've only started using like acrylic paint pens and stuff like that. But I don't have like a single tube of acrylic paint, art paint at least. Let's see. Okay, wait. Linda B has a glow in the dark marker. Not sure how it works yet. Well, let us know how that one works, and let us know the brand of it too. So if it was working great, we know which one to look out for. And if it's not working great, you tested it for us, which is perfect for everyone else, right? I don't think my glow-in-the-dark embossing powder worked that well. I guess that powder would be so thin, huh? Granules. So unless there was something fairly solid, maybe, so that glowing, whatever the glowing aspect is, only going to be a small part of that. Embossing powder is like plastic, right? Just like plastic powder, right? So it's just going to have to be that glow in the dark pigment or something like that mixed with that oh yeah. That reminds me, so with embossing powders too, when I've embossed something with clear embossing powder, like on black or white, it dilutes whatever that pigment is because you're mixing it with a clear powder. So if you'd have to have something um, like a glow in the dark, ideally glow in the dark ink and glow in the dark powder, so it's not being cut and diluted. I think I'm guessing that's what would be going on with a glow in the dark powder, because the glow in the dark embossing powder is already going to be part whatever plastic dust, granules, and that glow in the dark. So it's already diluting it, with that, and it's probably not even 1-to-1. I'm guessing. I don't know. Okay, so vintage scrap. Yeah, I did the Halloween cards, and they turned out great. The glow lasted. Oh, well, okay. So that worked out well. All right, so hey, vintage scrap girl, you got to tell us what the. So Arlene and vintage scrap girl, you got to tell us what brand of you know, that glow in the dark embossing powder was, unless it's the same one. But maybe vintage scrap girl, you can tell us how you used it or whatnot, or did what did you use for the medium that you used the embossing powder with? Was it like a clear embossing pad or something like that, or did you emboss put that powder on like a white pigment ink or something like that? I let the finished cards sit in the sunlight before putting in the envelopes. Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. That's embossing powder's plastic. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you don't have to. If you remember what that glow in the dark one is, that would be great. Okay, so Ranger. Well, that's easy. Okay. Arlene's gonna come back and say Ranger. And this is like a Ranger, whatever, new and improved mixed or something like that. Yeah, we gotta get in the, yeah, glow in the darks with moons for any season, but lightning, not sunlight, no, but like stars. It's okay. So let me see. In Ranger embossing ink. Okay. Oh, what? Okay. So Ranger embossing ink plus the Ranger glow in the dark embossing powder. Then. All right. So I have a really bad memory. Although I shouldn't forget this. Ink plus in the dark gitted uh, all right, this is so I remember, and it's kind of done in my glow in the dark. I'm just joking, this isn't glow in the dark paint right here, but it'd be kind of interesting. These are acrylic paint pens, right? You could do something. You know what I mean? It would be kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool. You have this field of whatever. Let's say you're doing a scene or something like that for whatever. It could be Halloween or whatever, and then you have a background that's roughly the same color, some greens down here or something like that, or whatever, it could be in anything. It could be white on white, but then you can write with this boo or whatever, surprise, and then you emboss over it. Of course, the embossing pattern might have a certain tone to it, but it might be something where it's like one of those invisible messages. And then, they, charge it up or take it in the closet, and then it's like you can see it or whatever. You don't tell them, and it's like, someone's got your card up and they turn off the lights and it says something in the glow in the dark. where you can't see it. But the glow-in-the-dark powder, embossing powder, should stick to this acrylic paint, paint pen, because this is wet for a while. It dries fairly fast as long as you're not doing it on like a super absorbent like matte paper. But if you shake this up enough and you write it and you put that powder on it real fast, it should go on there. So if you've watched, you're sending it to someone that likes horror movies, you write Red Rum or whatever on the background. I don't know if anyone got that reference right there, but it'd be kind of cool. Okay, a product called Star Maker Glow in the Dark Extreme Paint. Okay. That extreme part of it, I hope, is a reference to the extreme glowing nature of that paint. That would be good. Yeah. I can tell you that plaid works reasonably well. You know what I mean? Those were tiny dots on this, this scene right here, down here. And they're not even thick, very thick, I just did it once. I did, I should probably go over it again. Like if I gave this away, I'd probably hit this again, with another little dot over the top of it to make it look, a little bit extra raised and get a little more of that, I don't know, whatever it is, phosphorescent thing. I don't know, whatever it is in glow-in-the-dark things that makes it glow. I forgot. I watched a couple videos when we were starting to do some of that glow-in-the-dark stuff. But I've already forgotten. But I don't know, just to build it up a little bit more. But I don't know, even like little things like this, but especially like little, on those monster map things, if Linda's still on, so we were doing like little eyeballs, little two little dots in the dark shadow areas like that, for like Halloween scenes or something like that. That'd be better with glow in the dark embossing or those markers than white. I've just been doing it with the white paint, but glow in the dark, if it was effective, that would be so much better. Yeah. Okay, so Arlene couldn't find it. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Maybe you tossed it, Arlene, because it didn't work for you. But I don't know. Are there a lot of, companies that would have a glow in the dark? Probably like a plaid would, or something like that, right? Comes in a few colors: aqua, blue, and green, purple. Okay. Oh, yeah. Those little sticker things that I got. Those little sticker sheets of little dots and stars. Yeah, when I saw those on Amazon, it was offered in those other colors, which, kind of confused me because I'm used to one glow in the dark look, but then then I didn't want to buy like every color either because I don't use those little vinyl like star stickers very often. I didn't know which one to get because I thought they all looked pretty cool, and I was thinking the blue would look pretty cool, and I do most of my scenes like nighttime skies in blue, but I went with the green just because I don't know, I'm used to kind of that look, that greenish glow from, old school. Laura got the shining there. When I do a red rum card, I'll send it to you, Laura D. We're going to put a red rum on this tree right here with a doorway with we'll do a red foil piece, and like an elevator door in the background. I just need something to represent Danny. For everyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, go and watch The Shining. You'll love it. It's a good, it's a feel-good movie. All right, folks. Those were the mirror cards. if you haven't seen these, I think you've probably seen them before. If you've been on the wall about that, a lot of you have, some silver, gold, cardstock or, foil paper, in your supplies. I've found, I've posted some of these types of things and people said, oh yeah, I got, I have a few sheets of some silver, something like that. I'd really recommend giving it a try. For me, of all the kind of experiments that I've been doing on foils and holographics and printable vinyls and things like that, just as far as, I'm not doing a lot of different techniques on all these things like that. This is just, marrying this bottom portion, and you can keep it as simple as you want. You know what I mean? I mean, this is like nothing down here. You know what I mean? But just marrying it up with something like that, I think that makes for a pretty, dynamic in its simplicity. As simple as this can be, I think it makes for a pretty dynamic card, especially these days where people, haven't seen like this too much. If everyone starts doing the mirror card type of thing, this is going to look fairly boring right here. But I don't know. It's just really easy to do. And this, of course, is that photograph up top there like that. But, be it for whatever purpose, to add a little bit of sense of dynamics to it in terms of visual depth, visual interest for sure, or just this kind of, I like the idea of, when I send out one of these cards, of what someone's going to, think when they're opening this thing up. I imagine it in my head, When I imagine it in my head, it's, when they're opening it up, I don't imagine it being a letdown. So, that's always kind of good, But anyways, give it a try, And if you have any, like I said, stamping on this, that foil like that, a very non-absorbent foil, you know what I mean? It doesn't take too long to get, but when I do that for the first time, if I don't do it for a while, I stamp it on like a piece of scrap. It'd be good to stamp it on a piece of scrap, especially if you're doing it in the StazOn or something like that. But get the feel of stamping it down onto something non-absorbent, so so you don't skew it like that, because it's, we're dealing with slippery inks and whatnot. And then if you're dealing with like a StazOn, if you hold it down for too long and you lift it up, it's like adhered to it, you know what I mean? Because it's like dried so fast. So, just get, stamp a couple things out, with your inks on it, with compatible inks on non-porous types of surfaces, and find what works best for you. Brilliance inks, which will dry on there, but spray seal it. I'm talking about this portion, not this top portion. And, the solvent-based inks. StazOn might act differently from the Ranger, archival, I mean, stuff like that. So just get a feel for it, and it's easy to do. Arlene it's all set. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for checking out the little replay here. We didn't create anything new, but just a little recap. And it was fun for me to go back and take a look at these pieces again. And I don't know, I forgot, a lot of these things that I did in here already. So, but I have a really bad memory too. So it was fun for me to go back and see what I did. I want to do some more caves, with the, full of little crystal gems or something like that. And that, maybe not even in the mirror card scenario like that, but I don't know. Yeah. And those little crystals in the light beams, and that type of thing were really fun. Red rum. I'm with you, CM. I always tend to, catch that at some point in time, every couple of years. Maybe not lately, but I don't know. I was thinking it's time for my son to watch it. He's into horror, but I don't know if the pacing of that movie is just so slow. I don't know if he would, retain his interest in that. So, yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks so much again. I don't know what to stamp, after going through these, these scenic reviews of the past year. I'm not sure what to stamp next here. We were talking about fireworks, but I didn't do that on New Year's Day. I'm not going to do the fireworks thing. So thanks for the information too, everyone. That's good information on the. So everyone make note of that. The Ranger, embossing ink, but at least the Ranger glow in the dark embossing powder. That might be a fun thing to add in here. I could probably just do these. Not on this one right here, but I can do those little dots too with the acrylic paint pen and just put that embossing powder right over the top. And we're talking those glowing eyeballs or fireflies or something like that would be probably good too. That'd be easier to do than like embossing ink and applying it. We have these acrylic paint pens that leave a thick little blob of reasonably fast drying but not super fast drying adhesive material on there. And I think that would work good for that embossing powder. I use glue too, So anyway, all right, everyone. Thanks again. Have a great rest of evening, weekend. If I don't see you before then or whatnot, day, whatever time it is for you. It's Saturday in, Australia right now. So good afternoon to you. All right, folks.